My name is Zoe, and there's nothing like watching your best friend betray you in real time, is there? I'd known Amber since freshman year of college. 6 years of friendship. 6 years of late-night talks, shopping trips, and being each other's emergency contact. 6 years of I'll always have your back and sisters before misters. 6 years of what I thought was unshakable loyalty. Until 3 weeks ago, when I learned that loyalty has its limits. The story really begins 8 months ago, when Jake, my boyfriend of nearly 3 years, broke up with me. It was one of those blindside breakups that you never see coming. We'd been talking about moving in together, we'd met each other's families, I'd helped him shop for his sister's birthday present just the weekend before. Then, on a completely ordinary Tuesday evening, he asked if we could meet at his place. I remember thinking he might be planning something special. Instead, he sat me down on his gray sectional couch, the one we'd picked out together at IKEA, and told me he needed to focus on himself, that he wasn't in the right place for a relationship, that I deserved someone who could give me what I needed. All the classic breakup cliches. I cried for hours on that couch, sobbed into the throw pillows I'd helped him choose, begged him to reconsider, to at least tell me what had changed, but he just kept shaking his head, saying it wasn't about me, that he just needed to be alone right now. Amber was the one who picked me up that night. She let me cry in her car, brought me back to her apartment, and stayed up with me until 3 a.m., letting me cycle through shock, denial, bargaining, and rage. She held my hand when I deleted our photos from Instagram. She helped me pack up the things he'd left at my place a few days later. "He's an idiot," she kept saying. "You deserve so much better, Zoe." For months she was my rock. She checked in on me daily. She forced me out of the house when all I wanted to do was stay in bed. She listened to me analyze the same conversations over and over, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong. She never once told me to get over it or move on too quickly. Amber was the perfect friend through the worst breakup of my life, but looking back now, I wonder if there was something else happening beneath the surface. The first sign came about 3 months after the breakup. I was finally starting to feel like myself again. I'd joined a kickboxing class, started dating casually, and was genuinely enjoying my independence. That's when I noticed Amber mentioning Jake more often. "I ran into Jake at Starbucks today," she'd say casually, or "Jake posted about that band you guys used to listen to." At first, I didn't think much of it. We all had mutual friends, we lived in the same part of town, crossover was inevitable, but the mentions became more frequent, more detailed. She seemed to know what he was up to, where he'd been, who he was hanging out with. "Are you and Jake talking?" I finally asked her one night over wine. She looked startled, almost guilty. "No, not really. I mean, we're still friends on social media. I see his posts sometimes." I nodded, trying to ignore the unease in my stomach. "It's fine if you are. I don't expect everyone to cut him off because of me." "Of course not," she said quickly, "but no, we're not talking. I wouldn't do that to you." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? This was Amber, who'd seen me at my absolute lowest because of this man. Amber, who'd called him every name in the book. Amber, who'd promised me I'd find someone 10 times better. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago. It was a Friday night, and I'd texted Amber about grabbing dinner. We had a standing wine and pizza night most Fridays, a tradition that had survived relationships, job changes, and even her brief move to another city. Her response came an hour later. "Can't tonight, swamped with work, have to study all weekend for this certification. Rain check?" I was disappointed, but understood. Amber had been working toward a professional certification for months, and the exam was coming up. I texted back, "No problem. Good luck with studying. Let me know if you need coffee delivered or anything." She sent back a quick, "Thanks, will do. Need some space to focus, but I'll text you next week." Looking back, the "need some space" comment should have been a red flag. Amber had never needed space from me before, but I didn't question it. I respected her boundaries and made other plans. I ended up having a quiet night in, scrolling through social media before bed. That's when I saw it. TikTok's algorithm can be eerily accurate sometimes, can it? Showing you exactly what you didn't know you needed to see. I wasn't even following Jake anymore. I had blocked him on everything after the breakup, but Amber's account popped up on my For You page. A casual 10-second video of her laughing, drink in hand, panning around to show off someone's living room. Jake's living room. I recognized it instantly. The gray sectional, the abstract art print above the TV, the collection of craft beer bottles he displayed on the windowsill, and there in the corner of the frame, for just a second, Jake's profile as he leaned over to grab something off the coffee table. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. I played it again, hoping I'd made a mistake, but no, it was definitely his place. The same couch where he'd broken my heart. The same living room where I'd spent countless evenings thinking I was building a future with someone. And there was Amber looking completely at home. The caption read, "Friday night done right." So much for studying all weekend. I didn't react immediately. I just stared at my phone, trying to process what I was seeing. Was this the first time they'd hung out? How long had this been going on? Was this why he broke up with me? Questions flooded my mind, but one thing was clear. Amber had lied to me. She'd specifically said she couldn't see me because she needed to study, needed space. Instead, she was having drinks with my ex-boyfriend in the very spot where he'd dumped me. My first instinct was to call her, to demand answers, to ask how she could do this to me after everything we'd been through. But a strange calm came over me. What would confronting her accomplish? More lies? Weak excuses? A half-hearted apology? No, I deserved better than that. So instead, I took a screenshot of the TikTok. Then I unfollowed her, blocked her number, removed her from all my social media accounts, and finally I posted a simple quote on my Instagram story. "Snakes don't hiss anymore, they text back slowly." Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was flooded with notifications. Amber had clearly realized what happened. There were 12 missed calls from her, 23 text messages from a number I didn't recognize, probably her calling from someone else's phone since I'd blocked her. I didn't read any of them, not yet. I needed time to process the betrayal, to decide how I wanted to handle this. Our mutual friend Taylor called around noon. "Have you seen Amber's messages?" she asked as soon as I picked up. "No," I said simply. "I blocked her." "Zoe, I think you should hear her out. She's freaking out. She says it's not what it looks like." I almost laughed. "It's exactly what it looks like, Taylor. She told me she was busy studying, needed space, couldn't hang out, then posted herself at Jake's place, on the same couch where he broke up with me. What part of that isn't what it looks like?" Taylor went quiet for a moment. "Look, I'm not defending her. I just think you two have been friends for too long to throw it away without talking." "She threw it away," I said, surprised at how steady my voice sounded. "Not me." After I hung up, I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee, thinking about trust and loyalty, about how you never really know someone completely, about how quickly 6 years of friendship could unravel with one 10-second video. I finally decided to look at her messages, bracing myself for the gaslighting, the excuses, the minimizing that would inevitably come. The first few were panicked. "Zoe, it's not what you think," and "Please call me, I can explain," and "It wasn't planned, I swear." Then they turned pleading. "Please don't throw away our friendship over this, and I know how it looks, but give me a chance to explain." And finally, the truth started seeping through. We've only hung out a few times, and nothing happened until recently, and I didn't know how to tell you. I scrolled through all 23 messages, feeling oddly detached. It was the same pattern I'd seen in every apology that wasn't really an apology, the same deflection of responsibility, the same centering of her feelings instead of acknowledging the hurt she'd caused. I didn't respond. 3 days passed. I went to work, went to my kickboxing class, had dinner with other friends. I felt a hollow ache where Amber's friendship had been, but also a strange sense of relief. The truth, however painful, was out. On the 4th day, a Tuesday, she showed up at my apartment. I wasn't surprised. Amber had never been one to accept being ignored. I considered not answering, but decided I might as well get this over with. When I opened the door, she looked terrible. Eyes red, hair unwashed, wearing the same Northwestern sweatshirt she always wore when she was upset. 5 minutes, I said, not inviting her in. "That's all you get." She nodded, swallowing hard. "I've been trying to reach you." "I know. You blocked me everywhere." "Yes." She shifted uncomfortably in the hallway. "Can I come in, please?" I hesitated, then stepped aside. I didn't offer her a seat or a drink. We stood awkwardly in my entryway, the familiarity between us replaced with something cold and distant. "I'm sorry," she finally said. "I should have told you." "Told me what exactly?" I asked. "That you've been hanging out with Jake? That you lied about studying to go see him? Or that something's been going on between you two?" She flinched. "It's complicated." "No, it's actually very simple. You lied to me. Multiple times." "I didn't know how to tell you," she said, her voice cracking. "I ran into him about a month ago at that coffee shop near his place. We got talking and it was easy. We exchanged numbers. It was just friendly at first." "At first," I repeated. She looked down. "Yeah, at first. So now you're what? Dating? Sleeping together? Planning your future?" "We're figuring it out," she admitted quietly. "But I swear, Zoe, nothing happened until recently. He didn't break up with you because of me." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's supposed to make me feel better? That my best friend and my ex just happened to find each other after he broke my heart? That you've been lying to me for weeks? That you'd rather spend time with him than be honest with me?" "I was going to tell you," she insisted. "I just needed to figure out how." "Well, you didn't have to worry about that, did you? TikTok did it for you." She winced. "I didn't think you'd see that. It was stupid." "No. What's stupid is thinking I wouldn't find out. What's stupid is betraying someone who's always had your back. What's stupid is throwing away 6 years of friendship for a guy who will probably dump you the same way he dumped me." Her eyes filled with tears. "It's not like that with us. He's different now." Those words hit me like a physical blow. The classic line, "He's different with me," as if Jake was some misunderstood hero who just needed the right woman to bring out his best self, as if what we had wasn't real or meaningful, as if I had somehow been the problem. "Get out," I said quietly. "Zoe, please." "No," I cut her off. "You don't get to stand in my home and tell me how special your relationship is with the man who broke my heart. You don't get to pretend you're the victim here because I found out about your lies. You don't get to make this okay." "I never meant to hurt you," she said, tears streaming down her face now. "But you did," I replied, "and you knew you would. That's why you lied." She stood there for a moment longer, seemingly waiting for me to soften, to give her an opening. But I had nothing left to give her. Finally, she nodded and walked to the door. "I hope someday you can forgive me," she said softly. I didn't respond. I just closed the door behind her and leaned against it, exhaling a breath I felt like I'd been holding for days. Later that night, I got a text from Jake, the first contact we'd had in 8 months. "I heard what happened with Amber. I'm sorry you found out that way. It wasn't planned." I stared at his message, anger building inside me, the audacity of him thinking he had any right to contact me, that his apology meant anything, that I cared about his intentions. I typed back, "It doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is that the two people I trusted most decided I was disposable. Don't contact me again." I blocked his number immediately after. The next few weeks were hard. Harder than the breakup had been in some ways. Losing a best friend leaves a different kind of hole in your life. All the little things we used to share. Funny memes, quick updates about our days, inside jokes that no one else would understand, suddenly had nowhere to go. Our friend group fractured predictably. Some took her side, saying that feelings happen and you can't control who you fall for. Others stood firmly with me, outraged at the betrayal. Most tried to stay neutral, uncomfortable with having to choose. I didn't ask anyone to choose. I just quietly withdrew from any events where I knew she would be present. I muted mutual friends' social media accounts to avoid seeing her in their photos. I took a different route to work to avoid passing by her apartment building. It was like going through a breakup all over again, except this time I was mourning the loss of someone who was still very much alive and well, just choosing to be with someone else. About a month after everything blew up, Taylor invited me to coffee. "How are you holding up?" she asked as we sat down with our lattes. "I'm okay," I said, and I meant it. The sharp pain had dulled to something more manageable. "How's everyone else?" Taylor hesitated. "Do you really want to know?" I nodded. "I'd rather know than wonder." She sighed. "They're still seeing each other. It's pretty serious from what I can tell. They've been posting a lot together." I absorbed this information, waiting for the stab of pain. It came, but it was duller than I expected. Good for them. Really? Taylor looked surprised. No, I admitted, not really, but what else can I say? They made their choice. Amber misses you, Taylor said carefully. She talks about you all the time. She made her choice, I repeated. She chose him over our friendship. She chose lies over honesty. She chose what she wanted over what was right. Taylor nodded slowly. I get it. I don't think I could forgive her either. We changed the subject after that, talking about work and Taylor's new apartment and the show we were both watching. It felt normal, almost. A small pocket of life untouched by the betrayal. 2 months after the TikTok incident, I ran into them. It was bound to happen eventually in a city where we all frequented the same places. I was at the farmer's market on Saturday morning, browsing through a stand of fresh flowers when I heard her laugh. I froze, flowers still in hand, as Amber and Jake walked into view. They were holding hands, stopping at a produce stand about 20 feet away. They hadn't seen me yet. For a moment, I considered slipping away quietly, avoiding the awkward encounter entirely. But something in me refused to hide. This was my farmer's market too. I had just as much right to be there as they did. So I continued choosing my flowers, paid the vendor, and turned to leave. That's when Amber spotted me. Her smile faltered. She gripped Jake's hand tighter, leaning to whisper something to him. He looked over, his eyes meeting mine for a brief, uncomfortable moment. I nodded once in acknowledgement, then walked away, head held high. It wasn't dramatic. There was no confrontation, no tears, no scene, just a quiet recognition of what was and what could never be again. Later that day, I received a text from an unknown number. It was strange seeing you today. I've drafted 100 messages to you over the past few months, but never sent any. I know you don't owe me forgiveness or even a response. I just want you to know that losing your friendship has been the worst consequence of my choices, and I'll regret it forever. I'm sorry, Zoe, not just for lying, but for breaking the trust we built over 6 years. You deserved better from me. It was from Amber, of course. She'd probably gotten a new phone or was using someone else's to bypass my block. I read the message twice, considering whether to respond. In the end, I didn't. Not because I was still angry, though part of me was, but because there was nothing left to say. No response I could give would change what happened or make either of us feel better. Some betrayals can't be undone with apologies. Some trust once broken can't be repaired. And that's okay. It's been 6 months now since that TikTok changed everything. I've built a different life, made new friends, started dating someone who makes me laugh and respects my boundaries. I still think about Amber sometimes, about the friendship we had and the way it ended, but the thoughts come less frequently now, with less sharpness. I saw on Instagram that she and Jake moved in together. The gray sectional is now in their shared apartment. Life goes on, I suppose. People often ask if I regret how I handled things, if I wish I'd confronted her immediately, if I think cutting her off completely was too harsh. They wonder if I miss the friendship, if I think about reconciling someday. The truth is, I don't regret anything. When someone shows you who they really are, not through words but through actions, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is believe them. Amber showed me that loyalty had its limits with her, that honesty was negotiable, that my feelings were secondary to her desires. And in return, I showed her that my self-respect wasn't negotiable, that I wouldn't accept betrayal dressed up as an accident, that I valued myself enough to walk away from people who didn't value me. Sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal isn't confrontation. It isn't making the other person understand your pain or forcing them to acknowledge what they've done. Sometimes it's simply removing yourself from the situation with quiet dignity, refusing to engage in their drama, and building something better from the pieces they left behind. So no, I don't regret blocking her that night. I don't regret posting that quote about snakes, and I don't regret choosing myself over a friendship that had already been broken by someone else's choices. After all, snakes don't hiss anymore. They text back slowly, make excuses, and show up on TikTok when they should be studying. And the best response isn't to charm the snake or make it understand why its bite hurt you. The best response is to walk away and never look back.